Good morning and welcome back to Mojo Espresso, a caffeine-inspired shot of inspiration and perspective to help you on your Friday with the goal to win the morning and win the day. I hope you've got your favourite espresso or magic or long black or latte as we kick things off. Okay, firstly, we're back. Tickets for Finding Mojo Masterclass number 2 have just opened for Tuesday, October the 27th, which is just a bit over 2 weeks away. Last one sold out in 10 days and tickets are limited again for this one. So if you didn't attend the last one, or you know someone who you think might like to attend or benefit to learn a bit more about the 3 mindsets, or just learning to embrace their weird and own their story a bit more, then please pass on the details. Also, thanks for the hundreds of feedback responses received from our first masterclass, which we've taken all on board to improve the next one. There's a lot of teachers out there, but we can improve our classroom techniques. These masterclasses are an introduction to the 3 mindsets and the 3 questions that form the basis of an ongoing 12-month mentoring program that will be rolling out at the end of this year or early next year in a digital format. So stay tuned for more information on that. And lastly, our Mojo shop is now open, and these Embrace Your Weird sweats are flying out the door. So go to mojocrow.com/shop for more information. Okay, so to today's theme, which is around the idea that focusing on myself is selfish and negative, versus the idea that focusing on myself might just be the greatest investment that I could ever make, not only for myself, but for others around me as well. I was posed this question recently in an interview with Dr. Andrew Rockford for a podcast series called Bounce Back by Drinkwise, which is a brilliant podcast series if you haven't heard of it. And it was probably the best question that I've ever been asked. And it's almost fundamental to why we set up Mojo Crow in the first place. I gave a pretty substandard answer, which I was a bit disappointed in, but I had a long conversation with Andrew after the show, and I said I was kicking myself because what I wanted to say is the answer has a lot to do with whether we go internal or external to find ourselves, because the goal is to find yourself, lose yourself, and then find someone else to love. And he said, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, if you go internal first to find your self-worth unconditionally, there's no conditions, it's not based on anything external, we can effectively lose ego and then focus on connecting others, helping others. This process is called self-awareness, peeling back the onion layer, and it's really important. But if we don't go internal to find our self-worth, we'll spend our entire lives looking for it in all the wrong places, externally. In that case, we will get self-absorbed or self-obsessed and become selfish. The thing is, you can't find self-worth externally. We can only find it internally. My industry, the sports and entertainment industry, is littered with examples of people who went external first and got distracted by the persona, not the person. So this pathway for self-discovery or self-awareness or self-love, right, always starts going internal first with that self-reflection or introspection. And at least from my experience, the process always starts with finding yourself, then losing yourself, and finding someone else to love. But today we're getting so confused just with that word self. Am I selfless or selfish? Am I self-aware or self-obsessed? Am I self-assured or self-centered? Am I self-doubting or self-indulging? It's kind of this self, 3 bags full. We've got $1 billion self-help industry to help us make sense of ourselves, but we're also being told to stop focusing on ourself because that obsession can lead to suffering. So no wonder we're all confused. So let's kill the myth once and for all that focusing on ourselves is first negative, because it's at the heart of learning to be a good human first and a great athlete or a great professional second. Any good human who's ever lived has had to work on themselves first to find their voice, to find their story before they can share their story with the world. So when your goal is to find your authenticity, being selfish, that's how you call it, is actually a good thing. It's a humble intention to find and then celebrate who I am, imperfections and all. If we go internal for internal validation, we won't need to go external for external validation. We can say to ourselves, I don't care what anyone says about me, it's what I say to myself that matters. I don't care what anyone thinks about me, it's what I think about myself that matters. In this way, focusing on ourselves is actually the greatest gift we can ever give ourselves in this world. We need to put that oxygen mask on ourselves first before we put it on someone else. We need to be compassionate to ourselves first before we can be compassionate to others. The most important form of acceptance is self-acceptance. The most important worth is not net worth, it's self-worth. And if you're an athlete, self-assurance is 10 times more powerful than reassurance. Yeah, and know this, you can't love someone else fully until you love yourself first, fully, to be kinder and gentler to ourselves first. And this is, in my opinion, what the pandemic has given the whole world, a wake-up call. Yeah, a second chance to focus more on acting as a human beings rather than human doings. We said on this podcast a few weeks ago that if I have to do something or achieve something in order to be someone, I'll never be satisfied. I'll never be at peace. I'll never have that unconditional love because it will always be conditional upon having to do something, yeah, or achieve something. And then I will become selfish or self-absorbed or self-obsessed because I'll never feel enough and I want to crave that feeling. That's when we become the pleaser or the perfectionist or we compare ourselves against others. And when we go external for self-worth, we get caught up in external things like materialism. Once I buy that car or that handbag, then I'll feel enough, and it never works. Or we crave other extrinsic motivations, money or social status. Once I become famous, then I'll be enough. Or corporate status. Once I get that promotion, then I'll be enough, and it never works. And worst of all, then we start craving recognition. We start caring what others are thinking about us and saying about us, because we effectively want others to give us what we're not prepared to give ourselves. Yeah, that unconditional love, yeah, with no strings attached, just to say, fuck it, this is me, all of me, and I am enough. So remember the formula. Find yourself, lose yourself, find someone else to love. It's not selfish, it's necessary, yeah, for all of us. Finding yourself effectively means finding your voice, finding your self-love, your passions, your motivations. It means peeling back the onion layer to kind of own our story, all of it, going internal and celebrating all the imperfections, and knowing that whatever I achieve in this life or don't achieve in this life, it's irrelevant to who I am as a person because I'm already enough. Yeah, lose yourself effectively means losing your ego, losing your identity, losing that shame story, that not enoughness story. It means not caring what anyone thinks about me or says about me. It means separating what you do from who you are. Yeah, it means accepting yourself as you are. It means losing the mask and taking off the armor. It means losing value judgments as to whether something is good or something is bad, or whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong. It means I don't determine my self-worth based on what I look like, what score I get, whether I win or lose a game, how much money I have. Yeah, we lose all that. It's totally bullshit as it relates to my self-worth. Yeah, we lose the need for external validation. And finally, finding someone else to love effectively is the quintessence of life, the meaning of life, to serve others, yeah, to love others, to care for them, to make their day, to be interested, not interesting. This is where you'll find your bliss. And remember, you only need one other person to form a community, to contribute to that community. I think it was Mahatma Gandhi, one of my heroes, who said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. But please remember, we have to find ourselves first internally, not externally. And while it's the most courageous journey you'll ever go on to embrace your weird and to own your story, it's also the best journey you'll ever go on and required to be a good human first and a great athlete second. So that's it for another episode of Mojo Espresso. Thanks as always for your support. Definitely leave some feedback or a question or a topic you'd like us to discuss. And if you didn't attend our first masterclass, get along to our second one on October the 27th. And until next time, I will love you and leave you and see you on the other side in the soup.